Welcome to the RNA School Library Journal production. I'm Colby Sharp. Today we are recording our annual year in review, the Yarn Year in Review, where Travis and I hop on a call and talk about a bunch of different things, children's literature, pop culture, and anything else that is on our minds. So we'll kick it off first. Travis, how are you?
Good. I am here recording in my closet, as is kind of the annual tradition for this podcast. I was thinking I really need have you ever heard of Roald Dahl? He had this
I've
writer's
heard of him, yeah.
shed in
Okay, yeah.
Roald Dahl had this writer's shed in his backyard. And I was like, man, that sounds really good. I would love like a writer's shed. Like where do you film most of your videos? Like
The
you're all over
basement.
the place.
The basement or my classroom, yeah.
Okay.
Well, what
Go
you
ahead.
need to do then is win like a Caldecott medal, and then with that, the royalties from that should go directly to the shed. So get to work on that.
I'm not
This
holding
is
my
the
breath.
first time we've done this in the morning, because usually you have what's the word for like a fancy glass that you drink wine out of? It's in The Wolf, the Duck, and the Mouse. Oh, what's the word they use?
Goblet?
Maybe. But anyways, here we are. Travis, how is reading in 2025 different for you?
So the big change for me, I think, was I looked back on the year and I thought, I didn't read enough middle grade this year. I really didn't. I keep seeing some of, these year-end best of the year lists. I'm seeing like Heavy Metal Mock Newbery blog talking about, books that might be in contention for the Newbery. And I realized that most of the middle grade that I read was the Newbery honors and winners from last year, so
Okay.
I wasn't keeping up to date. So that's one thing that I definitely want to change in the new year. Yeah.
And you had to read those because you did that panel at ALA with the Newbery recipients.
Right. So I was kind of prepping for that, reading all those books, make sure I knew those really well. And it's funny talking to you about that because I don't know if anybody in the world, I mean, other than like the Newbery committee, has read more middle grade fiction than you this year. So it's kind of like, this is kind of good actually, because it's sort of like you're hitting this spot that I didn't really cover as well this year.
I feel like, because the question was, what is different? I feel like you always say that you want to read more middle grade. Like that's always, so is it different? I guess for me, it's not different. Every year I say, I'm going to read more adult books. I'm going to read more nonfiction. So later on, we will record our 2026 preview episode. And I think that I will say, I'm just not going to pretend that I'm going to read anything else. We're 44 years old. We're just not, there's no, why try something different? Like, just stick with what works. So, well, we'll get into a Travis category. What is your favorite picture book?
Okay. This was a tough choice because I feel like this was a great year for picture books. There was a lot of books that had this great combination of just like really well-crafted, well-made, beautifully illustrated books that I feel like also worked really well with kids and with audiences. And so I think the one that stood out to me when I first started thinking about it was Cranky Crabby Crow Saves the World by Corey R. Tabor. That book was part of our mock Caldecott unit that we do at my school. That book won the mock Caldecott unit that we do at my school. And Corey R. Tabor is like, he's one of my favorite picture book people going right now. Every time he has a new book, I cannot wait to read it. I know it's going to be this awesome combination of like humor, but then also a lot of heart. The way that he puts his stories together fit perfectly. Like Cranky Crabby Crow, like the conclusion, the beautiful conclusion of that story is so perfect, and it fits so perfectly with the story that that came before it, that it's just like my favorite book of the year, my favorite picture book of the year. Yeah, what about you?
That's interesting with it being he's done so much in the last handful of years, especially. And that's a Green Willow book celebrating 50 years of making books, Green Willow. I think A Book of Maps for You is my favorite picture book. One of my favorite books, without a doubt. It just is so magical. I love it. The ending um, is one of just the most satisfying endings. I'm like, oh, because you like really like the book, like it's a great book, but then you read the ending and you're like, no, it's the best book. So I loved A Book of Maps for You.
I love the mystery of that book because it's sort of like it reminds me a little bit of like Small in the City by Sydney Smith that came out a
Mm,
few years ago, where
yeah.
it's like the whole time you're reading that book, you're wondering where exactly is this headed? You know, this kid is making this book of maps showing different parts of his town and even his own house, and you're thinking, who is he making this for? And so, the conclusion really like reveal has this big reveal, which I think makes it even more powerful.
Yeah, next up is the favorite page turn. I cheated. I went with my favorite gatefold from Fireworks, counting it as a page turn. And I think Fireworks is just one of those books that, like, it's hard to not love that book. Like, I don't think that everyone will say it's their favorite book. I don't think that everyone would say it is going to win the Caldecott, but I feel like everyone that reads Fireworks will like that book. And that is one of the most beautiful. Just gatefolds are underrated. We talk about the page turn so much. I was reading my fifth graders the last day before break, Octopus Stew. Great gatefold and Octopus Stew. Like, I'm all for more gatefolds. I am also curious. I'd like a video from like publishers on how do we make gatefolds? How do we print gatefolds? What does that process look like? Because I'm all for it's just such a beautiful tool in the read aloud. It's just magic.
There's different levels of gatefold. It's like I would say like the standard gatefold is on the right side of the page. The page folds out. That's like the most standard. Then you've got the double gatefold where both the
Mhm.
left and the right side are folding out. And then Fireworks does this amazing thing that I am trying to popularize. I think it needs to be called the garage door gatefold
Okay.
because
Okay.
it does not go outside to side. This book, when you open it up and it flips straight up like a garage door is going up, and it is such a huge impact in the story. And fireworks are such like a dramatic thing to begin
Hmm.
with, and the grand finale, it's like, how do you represent that on paper? And I think that was just like the perfect way. Katya Chen is
Hmm.
one of the best illustrators out there, and the way that they kind of solved that problem of like, where do we go from here for this huge grand finale, it's kind of perfect. My
Yeah, one of the
favorite.
things that wait, real quick. One of
Yeah.
the things that we do a lot in these episodes and in our daily conversations together is I like to give you ideas for blog posts, Travis. And
Yes.
like I feel like you need to deep dive multi like a series of posts about the well, that is what we need to see on 100 stores in 2026. So you can write that in your notes. We need like you do it with the undies, you do all kinds of different theories, but like I don't know if you've given proper attention. Here to be judging your blog. You've given proper attention to the gatefold. Would you say that maybe you've missed the mark there?
I love this. That is a great idea, and I would say that there's a very good chance that I'm going to take that and run with it. I didn't even mention the kind of gatefold where it's like, where I've seen it where just one side folds up. It'll be like the right side of the book, and just that one side will fold up instead of both. So it's like, what do you call that? What's the kind of door? What's the door where like just the top opens, or there's a
Okay.
name for that?
Yeah.
That
Oh, those
that
doors are amazing. My grandparents. Oh,
is
Travis,
that like a is that like a
you.
Dutch door or something? Because
Well, you're in
that's what
Holland.
that
You
type
should
of
know.
the type of gatefold where like just one side goes up. It should be called that. Yeah.
See, and like, when did the gate? Like, who started the gatefold? Who's like what year was it? Like, what would be really cool
Yeah.
is if we opened up the pages of a book. So look for that, everyone. 100scopenotes.com, school library journal blogger Travis Jonker is going to revitalize the blogging industry with this new series. So how about you, Travis? What is your favorite I don't even remember what we're talking about. Gatefold of the year.
Page
Or
turn.
page turn.
Yes.
Sorry.
So my favorite is in the book Broken by X Fang. I love the page turn where the text is Amma is right behind me. And so Broken is one of my favorite picture books of the year. It's one of my favorite picture books
Mm-hmm.
of the decade. It's a book that I think I'm going to be reading for years to come with classes because it works so well with kids, and so many kids can sort of connect with the idea of I broke something on accident and I'm feeling guilty about it and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this. And there's a page where the main character, she's outside and she's nervous because she's wondering what her grandmother is going to say about this broken mug. And you turn the page. It's a great page turn moment.
Mm-hmm.
You turn the page, but then you also turn the book to the going from sort of the what's it called, horizontal to the vertical, and you can see the grandma Amos. She's standing up tall, right? She's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
looming behind the
Yeah.
main character, and it's such an awesome visual representation of how it feels when you're feeling guilty and you're wondering if you're going to get called out for it, and all of a sudden the grown up shows up and they're right behind you and they're 10 feet tall. Um, that's just, I mean, every page turn in that book is like a
Yeah.
mini cliffhanger. Like that book should be a book that like children's literature illustrator people are using in a classroom to like show here's how you do it right. That book is amazing, and
The
that
role,
page turn
the role
was one of my favorites.
the role of the cat in that book is so beautiful. And last year, Travis, you said your favorite picture book of the year was We Are Definitely Human by X Fang. So are we saying that X Fang is becoming, has like just, she's like skyrocketing, and possibly early prediction here as we head into the second half of the 2020s, could X Fang leave the decade as the illustrator of the 2020s? Is that possible?
I love this question.
Something to
Um,
look out for as we're halfway, maybe half, that could be another blog post. Halfway through the decade, who will
wow.
be the creators of the decade?
Yeah, because now that makes me want to go back and like look at, the the early
Mhm.
2000s, the aughts, whatever we call them, the 2010s, and now the 2020s. Who was the illustrator of the decade?
Yeah,
Oh man,
the
probably have to
2010s.
factor in.
Yeah, 2010s may have been Mo Willems,
Yeah,
at least a
yeah,
contender there.
yeah.
But the
It's it,
2020s are up. It's up for, if
yeah.
anyone, any illustrator wants this award, let us know. Let us know why you are the greatest creator of this decade, and we'll maybe have an episode all about that.
I would love somebody who had the guts to say that and invite themselves on the podcast.
It's like Derek Barnes, who is like the only one who says, I want to win the Newbery. I want to win the National Book Award. I want this. So always shout out to Derek Barnes for saying what a lot of people are probably thinking.
Friend of the show.
Right to the show. Favorite novel, Travis. You did a graphic novel. Tell us about that.
Yep, cheating this year. How to Say Goodbye in Cuban by Daniel Miares.
Mm-hmm.
And um, there's some books where they hit on certain topics where I just feel like I know about it, but I don't really know anything about it, you know? So like the Cuban Revolution and Fidel Castro, I've heard about that for years, and it's something where I just didn't really know what it was like, how the whole process happened. And in this book, Daniel Miares, he kind of tells the story of his father, who was a kid in Cuba when that was happening, and how his family escaped to the United States. And the whole story of his family, they like win the lottery and they started this brand new business, and there's a lot of excitement and a lot of hope and looking forward to the future.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, uh, interspersed in between the chapters is kind of like what's happening in the country with Fidel Castro, and how they're kind of like taking over, the promises that they're making, how the promises that they're making get broken, and how people kind of slowly realize, okay, this is not the situation we thought it would be. And so many of them are trying to flee the country. And I just think the amount of work that went into that book and telling his father's story, it's one of the most memorable books of the year for me.
And it is probably the graphic novel that's getting the most buzz as a possible Newbery contender. It's funny that you said that you're cheating because you also, even in our notes, said that you were cheating last year when you also picked a graphic novel as your favorite novel of the year.
Maybe we need to change the name of this category to favorite novel for Colby, favorite graphic novel for Travis.
Because don't we have a favorite graphic novel category coming up, and you picked a different graphic novel for that.
Yeah. Well,
So,
what am I going to do? Pick a novel for that one? Come on.
what are you gonna do? So I last year picked The Wrong Way Home, which won a Newbery Honor. So here you go, folks. Here is the next favorite novel that's going to win a Newbery Honor. And that's The Trouble with Heroes by Kate Messner. Travis, if you're going to read one, this is a novel in verse. So it's, kind of between the graphic novel, straight prose. It's a story about a boy whose father was like a 9/11 hero. And he's really struggling with some things, and defaces some gravestones in a cemetery, and gets his punishment is he has to climb all of the peaks of the Adirondacks over the course of a summer. And it's a beautiful story. And Kate Messner, would love to see her break into the ALA Awards. I think with all that she's done for children's literature and all of the amazing books she writes year in and year out, it would be fun to see some shiny stickers on my favorite novel of 2025. Oh, I will
This
tell you.
seems
Actually, I'll talk about my other thing. It comes up in a later category. Anyways, go ahead.
this seems like a very Kate Messner, just you describing it, it sounds like a very Kate Messner book. I feel like I've seen pictures of her like hiking or climbing mountains or those guys. She seems like a very
Yes.
outdoorsy kind of person. So this book kind of seems to fit right with her personality. It seems to make a lot of sense.
And she has hiked all of the peaks of the Adirondacks.
There you go.
Not in one summer, Kate. Not in one summer though. Like maybe 2026 is that if it wins a Newbery Honor, Kate Messner should have to hike all 46 peaks in the Adirondacks this summer. Favorite
and leave
nonfiction?
a copy of the book.
Yes, at the top of all of them, signed. Favorite nonfiction? I'm going Dinosaurs in Space. Todd Sturgill has created a couple of picture books now, except Antarctica was the first one, where you kind of learn about all of these different creatures who live on all of the continents except Antarctica. And during the book, they are characters in the book, those creatures like a turtle and a dung beetle, and they are going to Antarctica to try to live there. In Dinosaurs in Space, we get to learn about how when like a meteor hit Earth, fragments of dinosaurs were shot into space. So you have these dinosaur characters who are kind of making life difficult for the narrator, and they get really excited when they learn that they are in space, and that it's just really fun. The kids love it. It's that nonfiction where kids are going to learn a lot, but also have a really good time doing it. So that's my pick for favorite nonfiction. It was really hard to not pick Nicholas Day because I just love his.
My favorite nonfiction was Papilio by Ben Clanton, Andy Chalmusser, and Corey Tabor. There he is again. And this book was really unique. It's kind of telling the story, the life cycle of a butterfly kind of story, which has been in books before, but they approach it from a really unique angle where each of these really accomplished creators takes one part of that story. So one creator has the chrysalis, one creator has the caterpillar, one creator has the butterfly, and it's a picture book nonfiction, and it reads just like a picture book as well. It's not it doesn't feel like weighted down with facts and things for younger readers. It kind of hits that perfect balance of nonfiction picture book. So I think they did a beautiful job with it.
Beautiful book. How about your favorite graphic novel, Travis?
Favorite graphic novel was Speechless by Aaron Nell Steinke.
So good. So good.
Which I think was one of the books. I mean, it feels like it came out a long time ago now. I think it came out towards the beginning of the year, maybe right in the spring. But it feels like I read it a long time ago. When I was looking back, I thought, oh yeah, that was this year. And that was really one of my favorites. So it hits on a topic that I haven't really seen covered in a graphic novel before, which is selective mutism, where the main character just does not talk at school. She talks at home, she talks with her friends when she's out of the school setting, but once she gets to school, she almost can't understand it herself why it happens to her,
Mhm.
but she just can't bring herself to speak up in class, to talk to her friends, to talk to the teacher. And I think Aaron Nell Steinke, who was a former teacher, he really has sort of like a good grasp of what that
Yeah.
sort of school and classroom dynamic is like. You know, he has the Mr. Wolf's Class series of
Mhm.
graphic novels that are so well done. And so I feel like he was sort of the perfect person to talk about this topic. And um, there have been students that I've had throughout the years that have had this, where they don't talk at school. And so it was kind of a cool thing to see represented in a book.
So Aaron is kind of like the Andrew Clements of graphic novels. He just gets the school stories really, really well. That's
Yes.
interesting. I loved Wish I Was a Baller, Amar Shah, and it's a graphic novel memoir. Amar was someone who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated for Kids when I was a subscriber growing up. So it was wild to see his journey into sports reporting. Started with an interview with Sean Respert, who was my favorite basketball player growing up. Wore number 24 for the Michigan State Spartans. I actually remember, I think I was a high school freshman. I went to his last game. It was also the coach's last game, and Eric Snow, who played for the 76ers for a long time, his last game. So I was fully invested in Sean Respert. So when I saw him in that, I was very excited, but kind of documents his relationship with Shaquille O'Neal, meeting Michael Jordan, all kinds of things that 44-year-old guys like us could really get behind.
I don't know how I haven't read that book yet. I really got to change that, because that seems like, I know that seems like right up my alley. I would love that.
Yeah, you got to read it. You're going to love it. Favorite book for grown-ups, Travis? I have read 20% of one adult book this year. That's
Nice
it.
work.
And I'm reading it now. I started it. My principal every year buys us a book for Christmas break, all of the staff members at our school. So this year I'm reading The Endurance Artist. It's by Jared Beasley. It's about a guy named Lazarus Lake who creates all of these crazy, wild trail runs. And I'm really, really familiar with his races. So it's kind of like the first person he's ever let tell his story. But you were much better at reading books for grown-ups. So how about you, Travis?
Favorite thing that I read for grown-ups this year was Lorne, the Man Who Invented Saturday Night Live by Susan Morrison. And this book is all about Lorne Michaels, the creator of Saturday Night Live. And I listened to this on audio instead of reading it. And it is so good. I could not stop reading it. If you are a fan of Saturday Night Live, I've followed and been a fan of Saturday Night Live ever since I can remember watching TV. And now my daughter is really into Saturday Night Live. We watch it together. And so just the whole history of the show is fascinating to me. I would say like 50% of the podcasts that I listen to are, Saturday Night Live people talking
Yeah.
about what Saturday Night Live is like. I don't know why it's so fascinating, but it just completely is. That show is totally unique. The way that it's made, the fact that they have to put together an entire professional TV show in a week is just such a cool idea. And so this book, it tells the history of Lorne Michaels, but they also do something really cool, which is they have these little like interstitial inner elements where, as they're telling the history of Lorne Michaels, they go through one full week of what it's like doing an actual show of Saturday Night Live. So the author followed. She was just in the building and following the show for 1 week. So it'll be like Monday, and then later on in the book, it's like, here's what happens on Tuesday, and here's what happens on Wednesday, and here's when people are writing, and here's when they're pitching ideas, and here's when they're building the sets, and all that sort of stuff. But really well done. I love the fact that the author clearly had complete access to the whole show. Lorne Michaels, she interviewed him. I hate it when there's like books where they can't actually talk to the actual source. I hate like documentaries like that too, where there's like key people that they can't get to talk. And this book got everybody to talk, and it was awesome.
Do you want to talk about your other books or just that one? You just had that one. Okay. I think every year you've mentioned something Saturday Night Live related. in all of the reviews. That is your thing. I love that you're doing it with your daughter because that gets into non-book thing of the year. And I'll go first. My second grade son, so he's the youngest of our 5 children, and our 2 youngest have played football. My 5th grader since kindergarten, and my second grader since kindergarten. But my second grader is like into watching football with me. Like, I took him to his first Michigan State game. There were tears. This past week, we're recording this on the 23rd of December. He cried when the Lions lost to the Steelers, and it's not like sobbing. It's just like tears are like just like kind of like rolling down his face. And so I feel kind of bad about, introducing him to the life of a Michigan State / Detroit Lions fan. But it's really fun to get to, because, watching a football game as an adult with children is not always the best use of your time. But when you can do it with your kid, it's pretty fun. So for me, that has been really fun and really special. I'm also trying to watch more television, which is not, I think, I just really want to watch some good shows. So I really love The Pit. It's like a medical drama, it's HBO Max, which seems to be where I find a lot of the shows that I like, follows an ER room for one shift. So it's 15 episodes, every episode an hour, kind of like in a way that 24 feel, which is really fun. I loved 24 when it was out. So I guess those are, and I also watched The Last Frontier because I visited Alaska last year and I loved it. And this show takes place in Fairbanks, which is where I spent some time. Much different Fairbanks, as these people are trying to kill everyone, but Alaska is my happy place. How about you, Travis? Grown-up things or non-book things?
So one thing that I really loved that was on Netflix this year was One Shot with Ed Sheeran. Now, I have never been a big Ed Sheeran fan, or I don't think I've ever bought his music, searched for his music on Spotify or anything like that. I feel like a lot of it is so popular, you've heard so many of his songs, but he had this really cool idea for a concert film. So Netflix asked him to do a concert film, and he said, I don't want to do the standard thing. So there's this show on Netflix called Adolescence, which I don't really know much about it other than it's super intense. Good. It's super intense, but I know that the idea of it is the person who created it, the director, filmed each episode in one continuous shot that's never cut. So there's no editing in the show. It's just they set it up with these special cameras and things where they can follow the action, and it's just one long continuous shot. And so he got the guy who made that show to make his concert film. So it starts off and he's at sound check. Ed Sheeran is at sound check, and he finishes sound check. He walks out the front door of the concert venue. The camera's following him. He goes to where this guy is going to propose to his girlfriend, and he goes there and he serenades them while he's proposing to his girlfriend. Then he walks with the couple back. Their family is waiting for them, and they're going to have this party, and there's this band on the stage. Ed steps up on stage and he starts playing a song with the band. Then he gets in a taxi. He's playing a song in the taxi. He goes to this other bar. And so you get the idea, and it's just mesmerizing. And there's no editing that happens. He's in New York City, going to all these different venues and playing his music. And then the end of it is just the most perfect part. I don't even want to spoil it for people who
I need to watch it.
Who are going to watch it, but it's great. I'm just going to do one this year, Colby. I'm going to do one. That's going to be it. And I'm going to go on to the next category, which is, it's best social media moment. And I wrote in this category that really what I just want to hear about is which of your videos went the most viral or was the most unexpectedly popular. You're posting so many great videos throughout the year, and I'm sure that there are some surprises that happen where you think, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen with this video.
Yeah, so most of the videos, if I do an Instagram reel, they all get about the same amount of views, within 10% or so. But I made this it was almost like a throwaway video. I'm like, we read some funny books last couple weeks. I'm going to talk about some funny books that you can read. and I played on the 6-7 thing. I said, here are 6-7 funny books. And it went nuts. And I will say, like, you can like click on a video and see the stats, and you can see like the followers that you get from a video. I got more followers on that video than I probably had gotten like all the stuff like for 3 years before that.
Oh my gosh.
It's still getting, like, if I see my notifications, still getting those like 6-7 weeks later. That's funny. But yeah, it makes no sense. It's not even a good video. It's I don't even remember any of the books that I talk about in the video, but for some, and like other people in my family have seen that video, like it comes through their feed even if they don't follow me because they don't want all of the book stuff. So that's been really interesting to try not to jump on the fads, but yeah, you just never know, right? You never know about that. Once I did an Instagram live book talk on Restart, which is still my most popular YouTube video ever, which makes no sense to me. So, you know, you never know what the internet wants. But yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It's weird.
Um, yeah, that's crazy. It's funny how it goes like multiples. You know, it wasn't just like a little bit more popular. It sounds like it was incredibly way more popular, and it's funny how that happens.
Yeah. Internet.
Yeah,
What
internet.
do you, besides my 6-7 video, Travis, what do you
Yeah.
think 2025 will be remembered for?
Okay, so I don't know if it will be remembered for this, but I feel like this was the year that people kind of started to realize that Amazon is just flooded with these AI picture books. So for people who might not know, um, there are people on Amazon who are selling picture books that they created completely using AI, where the images are clearly AI generated and that even the text itself is AI generated. And uh, as of right now, you can tell. But what kind of makes me nervous is, you know, in a couple years, you probably won't be able to tell at all. You'll just be able to tell it's bad, but you won't be able to tell, okay,
Mm.
this is definitely created with AI. But right now, when you look closely at the illustrations and things, you can see these little weird things that happen with AI illustration. So that happened because we got like someone gifted my library a book to put in the collection, and I looked closely at it and I thought, oh my gosh, this is completely created with AI. The text sounds like prompts that you would put into like Chat GPT or something. And that kind of sent me down the rabbit hole. And I think a lot of people too were kind of figuring out that was happening this year. I feel like a lot of people are out there. They're sort of like looking at the search trends on Amazon, and it's like, oh, a lot of people are searching for books about empathy, and so they'll create this AI generated picture book all about empathy, and it sells a lot of copies because of that. So that's kind of worrisome to me for sure. But also on sort of a lighter note, the thing that I mean I noticed, so many people noticed this year, was that sprayed edges on novels
Oh,
is has absolutely exploded. This year it's like if your novel didn't have sprayed edges, was it even published? Because because it's like every book that I'm seeing now has them. I don't know if like some new printing press opened up where now all of a sudden like it's just easy to do this on books, or if someone just had the idea. But so many books this year had sprayed edges, which is where there's like a color or a design when the book is actually sitting
yeah.
closed. And there's been a lot of like really cool, unique ones too. So I think that's something that a lot of people noticed this year as well.
What
I
other
love
things can you
yours.
do? What other things can you do with edges? Because I remember Despero kind of had like frayed edges, like because the Despero was like eating the page. That was special.
Yeah, that's called deckled edges.
Deckled. See, you need like a handbook. Maybe you have
Yeah.
you're kind of getting more into your Substack, Travis. Maybe that could be a thing. Like when you subscribe to Travis's, look for this in 2026. When you subscribe to Travis's newsletter, you will get a PDF of all of like a toolbox of vocabulary, a glossary of picture book. I would like that. See, I'm learning so much. I didn't even know about the AI thing, Travis. That the AI.
Oh yeah.
I think 2025 will be maybe what I will remember it by. There's a lot of picture books that are being created from the world created in New York Times best-selling middle grade novels. So
Yes.
we had, for example, we had a Wild Robot book. We had a book from Linda Mullally's Hunts, Fish in a Tree, Otter, from Catherine Applegate's book. And Catherine Applegate has done this before with The One and Only Ivan, and she's also doing it with the one with Ruby from The One and Only Island. I don't know if that book has come out or if that's a 2026 book. So that's a thing that we're seeing a lot more of. Thoughts on that, Travis?
I love how Catherine Applegate does it because so many of her books are based on something that happened in real life. And so she's able to tell like the nonfiction
Yeah,
story behind the book, which I think is such an awesome and perfect sort of like continuation of the story for people who want to learn more. Um, we have the Wild Robot picture book in my library. It is super popular. So I mean it completely makes sense. It's like for that book, it's sort of telling the story of the wild robot in more of like a simple fashion, I guess. Um,
yeah.
and just with bigger color illustrations, which is also cool to kind of be able to picture the island in a little bit a different way.
Yeah, I get a lot of people who ask me, like, what would be a good recommendation for one book, one school? And that's so interesting to me because a lot of the books that I would read to my fifth graders, I cannot fathom reading to a kindergarten class.
Yeah.
So I am like the worst person. So if you were wondering what book to do for one book, one school, I am the last person that you should ask because I have a hard time processing that. But I could see that happening in this type of thing where we do like one book, one character. And we look at the Wild Robot Roz from that point of view. We look at the world of the one and only Ivan through the picture books and the novels. So maybe that is an option that people can do. I don't know.
That's a great idea.
I'm full of them today. All right. Best review. Oh, you have this is your section. Best reviewed books. You want to just kind of tell us some of the most popular books of the year according
Yes.
to professional reviews.
Yes. So looking at all of the major 6 professional review journals, these are the books that got 6 stars, and that means a starred review in each one. And shout out to Jennifer Lagarde and Donalyn Miller because I think they compile this list that I use to see the best reviewed books of the year. There were a couple of YA folks, and usually I skip over that, but there was a couple that also make books for younger kids. So Death in the Jungle, which is the nonfiction book about Jonestown, the cult, was written by Candace Fleming. That got 6 starred reviews. And Brian Selznick with his young adult graphic novel. I don't know what you call Brian Selznick's books because they're such a combination of art and text,
Illustrated
but
novels? Yeah.
illustrated novel, Run Away with Me. And then there were 3 picture books. There were no middle grade novels that I saw according to the list that got 6 starred reviews, but there were some picture books. So Fireworks, which we've mentioned by Matthew Burgess and Katya Chen, How Sweet the Sound by Kwame Alexander, illustrated by Charlie Palmer, and When I Hear Spirituals by Cheryl Willis Hudson and illustrated by London Ladd. And it was a pretty small group of books that get 6 star reviews. That's really pretty rare. And so always just kind of interesting to check out that list.
I always wonder if like you're the last one to review it and it's already got 5 stars. Like, do you feel pressure? Do you want to like be an outlier? Like, it's not that good. Tricky. I haven't read very many of those books, Travis. Just the 2
Yeah.
picture books.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put it on my list. Favorite debut author. I went with a book I've already talked about. Wish I Was a Baller. Amar's graphic novel memoir. I also see that he has started a like chapter book series around basketball, which also came out in 2025. So something that I need to check out and to dig into more.
My favorite debut author was also favorite debut illustrator because she made a book, sort of a comic illustrated novel, um, Kay Healy, and she started the series called Casey's Cases, and
Okay.
it's kind of like Harriet the Spy for younger readers, something like that, where she's kind of figuring out these sort of like lower stakes cases that are happening in her life or at her school or with her friends. And I really liked that book. It's the start of a series. There's two currently, and there's going to be more, I believe. And so that was one of my favorite sort of debuts of the year.
The Mysterious New Girl
Yes.
is one of what a great topic. Is like we're getting a new student when we come back from break. And we come back from break on one of my current students' birthdays, right? And when she found out that we were getting a new student, she was very, very frustrated because she's like, no one's going to care. No one is going to care that it's my birthday because there's nothing more exciting at school than a new student. And she's right. She's 100% right. Her birthday is now borderline irrelevant because we have a new student. I mean, she's right. There's just no way, there's no getting around it. Like, it's so
It's
insightful.
true. It's true. It's like everyone's trying to figure out the new student. What's the new student doing? Like every single thing that they do is like signaling to the class like what kind of kid this is, and will I be friends with this kid, and is this kid, how they going to interact with the teacher? And yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I was never a new student. You were, right? You moved as a child. But did you move during the year? Because moving at the beginning of the year and moving during the year are two totally different things.
Completely. I was in middle school when I moved, and so I started 7th grade at a new school.
So
And
still a
yeah,
big deal, but not
right.
like ignoring everyone's birthday big deal.
Yeah, a mid-year new student in the class. That would be tough. That would be tough.
That would be tough. What do you think is the most impressive book of the year, sir?
Catnap by Brian Lees. This book blew me away when I read it. It was kind of later in the year that I ended up getting a chance to read it and spend some time with it. And it's sort of like a cat and mouse chase through art history. And
Mm-hmm.
when I first was looking at the illustrations, there's all these sort of like famous works of art from the past. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Like Brian Lees kind of took these famous works of art and then he added his own illustrations and artwork to them. No, he painstakingly recreated all of these famous works of art from history in all of these different mediums. There's stained glass. There's relief. What's it called? Like relief stone, ancient Egypt, work in stone. There's oil paintings. There's all different styles of painting. And I could not believe in the back of the book. I'm so glad that they had like a little bit of a note about what happened in the illustrations and what Brian did to explain it, because that just takes it to this whole another level to me of just the amount of time, care, and how he matches these famous works of art almost perfectly is mind blowing to me. The amount of time that must have taken is incredible. What about you? Most impressive book?
The Boy Who Lived in a Shell, poetry by John Himmelman, which is about a boy who literally lives in a shell and it's just like floating around the ocean and writing all these poems inside the shell. And that is the book, are the poems that he writes inside the shell. There's recurring characters who show up throughout the text, and it's just really fun. And sometimes most impressive to me is also like the weirdest. It's a very weird book. Like just it's just like where does the idea of a boy in a shell writing poems inside the shell turn into a book for kids? It seems like quite the
John
leap.
John Himmelman. I love John Himmelman, and he's made some sort of unique books like that before. There's this book that I really like. I think he made it. It's called Floaty, and it's where the dog just starts to float away. And that's just like a really funny, really unique kind of book too. So I think he really uses his creativity.
Go, John. We have the same book for Most Unusual Book. Travis, I could have put this book in my favorite graphic novel. I could put this book in my favorite book of the year. Cabin Head and Tree Head. Scott Campbell has, I mean, it's, do you have a favorite head in the book?
Oh man. I mean, that's one of the major fun parts of the book is as the story goes along, like different heads kind of get revealed and different heads kind of get their moment. I mean, when like Brick Wall Head shows up, I was laughing. When Hospital Head shows up, I was like surprised. I was like, "Oh, okay, so they have a hospital too." How would you describe this book to people, Colby, for people who haven't
Well,
read it?
I brought it in my class and I actually just read them the first story, which was
Okay.
the volcano head erupting and then having to get catapult head to shoot Stonehead, or launch, I guess is the better word, to launch Stonehead to plug Volcano Head until Volcano Head could calm down. Then Stonehead could get. So it's basically all these trees who have weird heads. Um, my favorite head is Pool Party Head, and like not only
Yes.
do they have heads, but there's also like people living in these heads. Like Tree Head has a like someone swinging on a tire swing on top of its head. It's just, and there's like construction head is amazing. All of these different construction vehicles on top of
Yep.
these heads. I feel like it's, and my favorite thing about it is on when you look on the spine, is there is a number one, meaning that we're going to get more books in this world of amazing heads.
It it's
It's
so
it's just
it's so
awesome.
bizarre. It's so bizarre. It's so fun. And one thing that I really love too is Scott Campbell, his use of dialogue in the book. There's something about it that just like it feels so like natural and funny. Like almost everything that the characters say to each other, it's almost like I don't know that you have to pay close attention to the dialogue for people out there who haven't read it yet because that's one of my favorite parts. It's just like so kind of effortlessly funny
Yeah.
that just adds to the whole thing.
And shout out to Tundra because they gave us Broken and Cabin Head and Tree Head, that publishing entity this year, because those are two of my favorite books. Is there a
Yep.
book that you would be most surprised to not be honored by an ALA committee?
Okay, now we're getting down to it. The history of We by Nicholas Smith. I would be shocked if the Youth Media Awards come around and we don't see anything about that book. Um, it's kind of telling the origins of civilization and sort of like how like uh, the origins of humanity from these little pockets in Africa and how that spread out throughout the world. And it kind of Nicholas Smith does not he's not a painter like Kadir Nelson, but he is a painter, and so he's pairing his text with these really accomplished paintings, kind of reminiscent of how Kadir Nelson does that, where when you see his artwork, you're like, whoa, this guy is a serious pro at what he does. And um, I feel like this book could be in multiple categories in the Youth Media Awards. I think when you're thinking about this, which book would you be most shocked not to be honored by an ALA committee?
Mm.
A book that could fit into different categories during the awards also really plays a role. And so I could see this popping up for CSK and for Caldecott and for others as well. So, what about you?
Yeah, and that's the right decision for this question, is what can win multiple awards. I didn't go that direction. I went with my answer, which also fits our next question. What do we be most shocked? Or which do we think will be honored by the Caldecott Committee? I went with fireworks. I feel that it is just, I just can't picture a committee not having it at least as an honor. I think it's going to win the medal, but I just feel like it'd be hard to find a group of 15, 16 people who didn't find the brilliance in that book.
Yeah, so that brings us to if you could pick one book and to be honored by the Caldecott Committee, and that's what I put for that category. I'm knocking on wood right now because I feel like I've even had the thought where it's like, if Fireworks doesn't get at least a Caldecott honor, what are we even doing here? Like that book is that book is so well illustrated. It has so many Caldecott elements. It's by a creator who has been doing great work for a long time that people really respect. And it's like it, it really I really feel like I'm more confident in that book getting some sort of Caldecott recognition, knocking on wood again, than any other book this year, and I really think that it deserves it.
Yeah, how about Newberry?
So, as we already discussed, middle grade, not my strong suit. So I just looked. Honestly, I haven't read this book. I just looked for the best reviewed book, the best reviewed middle grade fiction book of the year was The Strongest Heart by Sadia Faruqi. And have you read that book yet?
No, isn't that a have a basketball on the cover?
Um, I don't believe it's basketball. I think it's a kid holding a book on the cover,
Okay.
and it's kind of a mental health family story, and
Oh yes, it's a
that book,
yeah.
yeah, that book received 5-star reviews. I know that usually that isn't like the telltale sign that it's going to get Newbery recognition, um, but that was just one that you know could be in the running.
That's interesting. Uh, so a lot of buzz around Teacher of Nomadland by Daniel Nayari, which I was thinking too. And then Betsy Bird, when I interviewed her for the yarn, said there was some talk that about something in that book that maybe not. But one thing that we should mention, that book won the National Book Award. So Holes is the only book ever to win the Newbery Medal and the National Book Award. So it's fun that we have a middle grade book, which gives us the possibility of that happening again. I think Kyle Lukoff's A World Worth Saving feels very much like a Newbery contender. So that's going to be my pick. I think that would be, that's also a book that could win other awards. So I should have picked that for my other awards one. So I'm thinking that one. Do you have any dark horse picks for any of the awards, Travis?
So my two dark horse picks for the Caldecott, one is Aggie and the Ghost by Matthew Forsyth, who has been making some great books for a while now and has a really beautiful illustration style, and I think really gets the idea of visual narrative that the Caldecott Committee really looks closely at when they're making their decisions. Um, and then also, this one isn't as much of a dark horse because I have seen it pop up on quite a few
Mm-hmm.
Caldecott lists, but maybe it hasn't been talked about as much as some of the others, which is Our Lake by Angie Kang. Really beautiful book about a very sad topic, and the artwork in that is just really stunning. She has a book coming out next year as well, um, and I'm blanking on the title right now, but it also looks like just amazingly illustrated. So Angie Kang, I think, is an illustrator to really watch right now. Yeah, what about you?
Well, I think Miss Taco is really fun. I think it's definitely could win something. And I just wanted to mention it in the episode. So I'm putting it here. It's a very, very, very fun book to read aloud. It's kind of just like this beautiful family and a lot of wildness and intensity and things going on. So I love that book. I believe it is her debut as an author, possibly,
Mm,
but not
that
as
might
an
be right. Yeah,
illustrator. So that one is
Eliza
really
Kinks.
fun for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Eliza Kinks. I
Miss
really
Taco.
like her. I really like her art style. Um, she did Papa's Magical Water Jug Clock
Mm.
um, a little while back, and yeah, she has this sort of like really almost like childlike art style that I think is really appealing and I think really fun and fits the topics of her books.
I'm a big fan of exclamation points as well. It was a bit of a interesting issue when I was writing books with Donald Miller because she probably feels like she knows like the appropriate number of exclamation points one should use in writing. And I believe in more like the old school Twitter, like let's just use all the exclamation points. So I text with lots of exclamation points. I write with lots of exclamation points. So a book with an exclamation point in the taco in this taco. So yeah, I would love to see
uh,
how, I mean, Travis, you would know how many books have been honored by the Caldecott Committee that include an exclamation point in the title. Can you name any
oh,
off the top
dang.
of your head?
Well, my year, 2014, we had one that won an honor. Mr. Waffles has an exclamation point at the end. Um, but for actual books that have won the gold medal, ooh, has there been? Gosh, maybe I'm missing some like very clear one, but
I mean,
that's
just think what would have happened
that's
if you
great.
would have put an exclamation point at the end of locomotive. Your Caldecott medals, locomotive. Let's go.
That actually would have kind of worked for that book because there was
Yeah.
just, even though it's like a nonfiction book, there was a lot of energy in that book.
If we ever have Brian on the show, we should ask him if he ever considered that, and if
Brian
he feels
Floka,
maybe
if he,
he missed out
ah,
and he should have.
hmm. He doesn't seem
Missed
like an add an
opportunity.
exclamation. He doesn't seem like an add an exclamation point to the title guy quite as much. So I would be curious if he ever considered that.
So if you could ask any children's literature creator their view on exclamation points, who would you ask? I'm gonna see if I think I can guess your answer. I might be wrong.
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is Mo Willems, just
Okay.
because he has used a lot of exclamation marks in
Okay.
his books in different ways, in titles, in dialogue, and
Mm.
yeah. What were you thinking?
I was just because I always want to know what Philip Stead has to say on things.
Oh yeah,
So
yep.
he doesn't seem
I
like an
would
exclamation point user either, but he probably has an
I
opinion
would
on. Or you know what? That would be a great post on the Mac Barnett John Clausen newsletter.
yeah. Looking at picture books, which is one of the best things on Substack.
Yeah, they should do that and have me as a guest. Like I should be like the third eye on that because someone cares so much about exclamation points.
Just in your daily email use.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to bring that in.
Anyways, is there a book that you wish you would have read, Travis?
Busted by Dan Gemeinhart. I think that's how you say his last name, Gemeinhart.
It's a
Um,
tough one.
it's a little tricky. He is a former school librarian, and he has written other books that I've loved. And
Mm-hmm.
Busted, I know, is a book that you read and you enjoyed. Busted
Yeah.
was a book that my wife read and she loved it.
Oh,
And so that's one where I just really wish I would have read it this year. It's kind of like the mini trend where the kids are interacting with or are involved with like the retirement home or like the
yes.
older characters, grandparents kind of thing. And I feel like that's happened a little bit more often than just in the last couple years. But it seems like everyone who's read that book has really loved it.
Yeah, and I am all about that. More time at the retirement center because Busted is amazing. It's about this kid who breaks out someone who is basically dying at the retirement home because they're trying to get some money to save the center basically and make it affordable. But then we also had Gordon Corman's Old School published this year, which was about a kid who lives at a retirement center and all of his teachers are the different residents that live there and they all have these different gifts that they give. But then he has to go to middle school and he basically goes to middle school and he is basically a 12-year-old that is who's basically like someone who would live in a retirement home. And it totally turns the middle school upside down in the most amazing way. So yeah, I'm all about that. The book that I wish I would have read is Max in the Land of Lies by Adam Gidwitz. It's getting some Newbery buzz. I tend to not read a ton of sequels though. And that
Mm.
is the second book in a series. So that is why I did not read it. Do you have since we're on the yarn, the podcast do you have a favorite episode of the year?
I had two. First one that jumped to my mind was when you interviewed our governor, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, about her. They made a young reader's adaptation
Yep.
of her autobiography, I guess, and that was just amazing to me. I think we both were just kind of over the moon to get a chance to talk to her and have her on the show, and yeah, just seeing you interview her was fantastic. And then I always love hearing from Pablo Cartaya. Whenever I've seen that guy in real life, talk to him,
Yeah.
he's just like the realest, most down to earth guy. And I feel like in that episode, he got so real about the idea of like trying to finish this book and just like the trough of despair that he was in
It was a
when
disaster.
when he was trying to figure out how to just get to the finish line on this book. And so I just love his honesty and him being real
Yeah.
about it.
He's still an MVP from our, like, 12 years ago when we played basketball at Houston at NCTE with like a bunch of children's literature royalty, like Kwame and Matt De La Pena and Lauren Long. But Pablo, he like wore like a Miami Heat jersey and he was all in. He was all
Yep,
in. So
he was in.
good dude. I loved, we don't get a chance to do this as much, is just the interviewing people in person, especially live in front of an audience. And your 2 episodes with the 2024 Newbery honorees was really fun. I didn't know a lot of them other than their work, so it was really cool to be able to hear from them. I think Erin Entrada Kelly was the only one that had ever been on the show before, and to be able to just listen. And she did such a great, graceful job in that interview, as making it about everyone, not just about her who had won the medal. And you did a great job interviewing them. And you did the speed round, which was really fun. And they weren't the best at answering quickly, which makes for a lot of fun as well. So I love that episode.
Yeah, that's always a fun one and a special one to be able to do. All right, Colby, what do you think we end this one and we go on to look ahead at 2026?
I think that's a great idea.